Hey, what's doing? How's everybody doing this evening, if it is evening by you, or this afternoon, if it is the afternoon by you? Out here on the East Coast, it's 5:50. It's cold as fuck, and it's depressing as fuck in this couple of days before Christmas. Thank God. But ninernut coming at you with a review of Thursday night's win over the Seattle Seahawks. Once again, a very important game because of it being a divisional game, also because it continued our winning streak, also because it's important for us to keep on winning to grab ourselves a better seed in the playoffs, which we saw get a little interesting this weekend in terms of the teams in front of us. So, just quickly, we saw the Philadelphia Eagles pull out a win against the Chicago Bears, although the Bears were holding on to that game for a little bit. And Jalen Hurts, I think, was injured with a sprained ankle. We saw the Dallas Cowboys choke in overtime to the Jacksonville Jaguars, a team that's on the rise and just keeps getting better and better. And we saw on Saturday the Minnesota Vikings pull off a very crazy come from behind victory in which they knocked off a very sorrowful Indianapolis Colts. But let me break this down for you all, as I'm sure you already know. Neither one of these teams really concerns me right now. And I'll tell you three good reasons why. Starting with the Vikings, we all know that the Vikings really aren't that what their record shows to be. As much as they have played well in the last two games, as much as Kirk Cousins has played come from behind in the last two games, what we're seeing out of the Minnesota Vikings basically tells us that their defense can't stop anyone and that their offense can get very stagnant when they can't run the ball. And obviously, not trying to besmirch them, but they didn't beat anybody. You beat the Indianapolis Colts, who are having one of the most disappointing seasons, I think, for teams that were supposed to go out there and be somewhat very successful, especially in the offseason, grabbing, Matt Ryan and hopefully the continuation of Jonathan Taylor, which isn't happening, as well as Michael Pittman Jr., as well as several other players who really haven't lived up to their part, especially on the offense. Because other than Michael Pittman Jr., I really can't think of another legit wide receiver. I know there's Paris Campbell, but I'm talking about legitimacy, and they don't seem to have it except for rookie Alec Pierce, who doesn't look to be too bad, but, he's only a rookie. So the Vikings didn't beat anybody, man. So was I impressed by that win? I give them credit for coming back. What concerns me more was how you could go down in that one to a team like the Indianapolis Colts, which I think says a lot about who they are as a team, their defense, as well as their offense with Kirk Cousins. Because, like I've said before, Kirk Cousins is not all he claims to be. For the money he gets, he's a mediocre quarterback. And there's a lot of other quarterbacks in this league that are better than him. So I don't really give a shit how many yards he throws for. So that's the first thing with the Minnesota Vikings. Moving on to the Dallas Cowgirls. The Dallas Cowgirls are probably one of the most highly overrated teams in football. They're the same team they were last season, almost player for player, give or take, Maury Cooper and give or take some other guys. And yeah, they do have some talent. Zeke's on his way down. Tony Pollard's playing really good. He seems to be a lot of the spark plug there. CeeDee Lamb's a very talented player. Noah Brown has stepped in really well for players that have exited, like Cedric Wilson and Amari Cooper. Michael Gallup hasn't been a first round pick. Dalton Schultz is a very solid, great hands tight end. On defense, of course, the veteran Demarcus Lawrence, and of course, Diggs and Micah Parsons, Leighton Vander Esch, who they just lost for Sunday's game. We know all this, but here's the problem with the Dallas Cowboys, okay? They're soft. We all know that. Whether you play them at home or you don't play them at home, they're soft. They're beatable. Okay. And again, I think Dak Prescott's a good quarterback. I don't think he's great though. I don't think Dak Prescott's a guy you give the ball to and say, "Hey, buddy, go knock. Give me his 2 minutes to go. Go knock off a really good team in 2 minutes. Show me what you got." No, I don't think he's that type of quarterback. And I'm not trying to besmirch him because he's come from a long way behind with the type of injury that he had a couple of years ago, which was a terrible injury. But I just don't think they're that good. The third team is the Philadelphia Eagles, and a lot of people could have a problem with that. But here's what I say: who have the Eagles played? That's my question. Who have you played in your division? Now, the one team that gave them their loss was the Washington Commanders, who will be facing this week. But the Washington Commanders are that type of team that can really ruin your day. They don't score a lot of points. They're not exciting, but they play very solid football and they have a very solid defense. So that was an opponent for the Eagles. But other than that, I don't know who the Eagles have really played. You can't just consider the Dallas Cowboys and the Giants, despite the fact that both of them are having winning seasons, because I really don't think the Giants are a really good team once they come out of their division. In fact, I believe if the playoffs were to go down today, by the way, what's up, everybody on the live feed? Thanks for joining. We would face the New York Giants and we would just beat the living shit out of them for many reasons. Okay, because Daniel Jones isn't really a true first round pick. We all know that he's not the answer there. He's just renting space, and I think that he's finding a lot of luck in a Brad the Bull offense, which allows him to kind of spread the ball around to various receivers for short amount of yards, while their running game is really what keeps them going. And their defense, for the most part, hasn't been terrible, but I don't think they're anything special. And then moving on, excuse me, again with the Philadelphia Eagles. And I'm not even tired. Maybe I'm bored because I'm talking about the fucking Eagles and the Cowboys in the NFC East. The Eagles, again, I'm not sold on Jalen Hurts 100%. I think that he's having a phenomenal season, but if you saw the game yesterday, you notice he threw 2 picks. So he can make mistakes very easily. And again, that offense I don't think is really scaring anyone, not in terms of the talent they have on the offense, but the offensive style they played is very similar to it reminds me of the Baltimore Ravens, like I said before. So I'm not worried about them at all. Okay. I don't worry about the NFC whatsoever. I think the NFC is easy to wrap up as it was last year. What I'm concerned about, I'm looking at the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm wondering if it's going to be a rematch with us and them this year. We're going to face somebody different. But let's get back to the breakdown of Thursday's night's game. Uh, I was really happy with the victory. Once again, we got to see how good this kid Brock Purdy is. I must have said to myself 50 times during the game, who the fuck is Brock Purdy? And what I mean by that is that's never, not even close to besmirching him. I say it with jest, in shock, and in awe of how well he's playing. Breaking that game down from his performance, I had said in my last podcast that I felt that Brock Purdy kind of reminded me of Drew Brees in the pocket with his poise, his footwork, and the way he's able to kind of count off his wide receivers and the way he's able to move within that pocket, looking very comfortable, not pressured, looking like he's been there before. And I think it was Al Michaels. Was it Thursday? Yeah, it was Thursday night game. So it was Al Michaels who had said this kid looks like he's been playing for several years as opposed to a guy who's just come into his rookie season. So once again, Michael's a great commentator and an expert when it comes to breaking players down as he does because he's seen so much football, I think. It's really important a comment like that comes from him because he's a guy that's been around and he notices what quarterbacks look comfy and what don't. I think it was really relevant that Purdy looked extremely confident. He looked extremely comfortable. He never really got pressured. There were so many things he did in that game that wonderful. First off was that opening touchdown he threw to George Kittle. I mean, the fake, the way he set that up, the way he put the ball right on the mark. And then that second touchdown to Kittle, which I thought was even better, another dart by him. So for anyone that didn't think Kitty, I tried to combine Kittle and Purdy. That Purdy doesn't have an arm, think again and go back and watch that game. And then is there anyone that really doesn't believe that he has a hand over that offense, go back and look again because, again, his footwork, his fakes, where he's putting the ball, he's doing things that a lot of rookies don't do. Now, when I say a lot of rookies, it also brings to mind a lot of second-year guys. And in terms of second-year guys, I was watching the Jets and Zach Wilson yesterday as they lost to the Detroit Lions. Brock Purdy is a lot better than Zach Wilson. Guys who are in their second year improving are guys similar to, Lawrence on Jacksonville and Justin Fields, obviously, who broke the 1,000-yard mark as a quarterback, which is a pretty interesting stat. But that being said, Purdy really looks better than both of them, if you ask me. And this is a guy who was the 262nd pick in the draft, last pick of the entire draft. So when you have a guy that comes in and is the last pick like him and is playing at such a high altitude, it's just so shocking to watch, but it's so amazing because you can see it with him. It's not a fluke. It's not like he's just having a really, really good game. He's done this 3 weeks in a row, and he's done it against three opponents that have been pretty solid. So that's something we really have to remember when considering Brock Purdy. I also like the fact that the kid has really good awareness in the pocket. There was one segment where he scrambled out and threw it away. There was another segment where he scrambled and got the first down. I believe that was on the right side of the field where he stretched forward and got it. I mean, again, he's doing things that rookies really rarely do. And he has such a control over the offense. I think that as most of the 49ers had stated, that it says to me that the kid is both a really quick learner and that the offense is responding to him a lot better than they were Trey Lance. And I'm not trying to compare the two, but if you want to compare the two, I don't think you can, because I don't think Trey Lance is anywhere as talented as Brock Purdy in terms of the overall fundamentals of being a quarterback. And when I say that, I mean, standing in the pocket, having poise, not feeling the pressure, knowing what's around you, counting off your receivers, putting the ball where it's supposed to go, not throwing it behind or overthrowing it, not throwing it into coverage, the handoffs, the footwork, all that stuff that I think a lot of people take for granted. Purdy seems to be nailing. Chris McCaffrey, of course, is the ultimate weapon. He's exactly what we knew he was going to be, and he's a big reason why the offense has really played so well and why we've been so victorious these last couple of weeks. And then, of course, behind him is the ultra-talented Jordan Mason, who broke a big run this past Thursday. I thought he was going to go all the way. Looked like he ran out of a little gas there. This kid's got some upside, man. I see nothing but good stuff for him. And then, of course, a week without deebosamuel, George Kittle took over. He had 2 touchdowns. Kittle, like I had said in the post on my page, is just such a value. He's one of the pound for pound most valuable players in football because of his yak, because of his catching abilities, because of his route running, because of his blocking, and then some. And again, I think that offensive line did a pretty damn good job opening up the run holes, protecting Purdy, giving him just enough time. So, another victory that was well needed. Another divisional victory, which is always good. And they played a pretty damn good Seattle Seahawks team. You got my hat off to Pete Carroll and that squad for getting that team to where they are. They made Geno Smith's life havoc. And speaking of making his life a havoc, in my opinion, MVP should be Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa embodies players that don't exist anymore, players that could tilt the field, players that were like Reggie White, like Lawrence Taylor, maybe Mean Joe Green, although he was a little before my time, like Joe Klecko was for the New York Jets. That's what Nick Bosa is. All eyes got to be on him because he tilts the field. And I think that he makes a lot of those other defensive players around him just as good. Not trying to say that it's all him all the time, but 15 and a half sacks with 3 games to go says a lot for me. Plus, take away the sacks. Don't even look at the sack stat. Look at the pressure, the overall pressure he puts on opposing quarterbacks just getting into that backfield and keeping their hands up. I mean, all quarterbacks got to be on notice of him constantly. And we make it so much worse for them when he switches sides, which is, again, another amazing aspect of his talent and his game. That being said, on the defensive side of the ball, I like what I saw at Arik Armstead. I was really mad to see Hassan Ridgeway go down, although I did like the way Ty McGill and Hakeem Spence have filled in. And I think, once again, it's just a testament to the talent on this team and a testament to D'Amico Ryans for having players that really plug in well to this defense and play at a really high altitude. Dregreenlaw should be an all-pro. There's no reason why he shouldn't. Him and Warner are the best duo there is in football when it comes to linebackers. I'm not even considering Shahir, who's another ultra talent. And then, obviously, Ebelcom, who's playing really good. Omenyahu, who's playing pretty good. Omenyu, however you pronounce his name. And I know sometimes they may not have the stats to always show it, but when we watch, we see. And that defensive backfield, Shavarius Ward, I think is just an all-out dog, all-out warrior. The way he played against Metcalf this past Thursday and just would not let up, was relentless, getting under his skin, getting under his ass, getting into his ass. I mean, there was a lot of offensive pass interference that should have been called in that game, I thought, because there were a couple of segments where Metcalf was just all but trying to swing at him and choke at him, which was just ridiculous. Huffanega comes up huge once again. Lenore, I think, should be comeback player of the year. I mean, that kid just got ultra talent. So, the team is so well-rounded, I think it's scary. And this was such a well-deserved victory. They shut down the rookie Kenneth Walker, didn't give up much to him. And he did it on the road, man. When you win in a place like Seattle, which everyone knows is very tough, it's always a good thing. So it's just another notch on the belt, another testament why we're so good. And I don't think anyone can dispute it whatsoever. And I think Shanny called another gem of a game. I think Shanahan's been calling the best football I've ever seen him call, and I think he does it when the team is at a minus when it comes to players from injury. I feel that he really calls his best football in the clutch, and it kind of reminds me of last year when he ran for that first down in the playoffs against the Packers with Deebosamuel and got it, where a lot of teams wouldn't have done that. Shanahan, they say Ron Rivera is Riverboat Ron, but I think Shanahan's just as much as a gambler. But I think that he's very strategic and very pragmatic and just really knows his offense through and through and just calls a phenomenal game. That being said, let us just break down some stats from this game, if we will. And of course, the victory was 21-13. We were up by more. We gave up that touchdown. Purdy was 17-26 for 217, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, only sacked once. Again, back-to-back weeks where he's had very, very interesting numbers, very solid numbers, just does exactly what he has to do, makes big plays. I don't believe in the term game manager. If you think he's game managing, then you're not really watching the correct game. Christian McCaffrey, 26 carries, 108 yards, and a touchdown. Jordan Mason, 4 carries, 64 yards. He had that 55-yard gallop. GK had 4 catches for 93 and 2 touchdowns. Jawan Jennings, 3 catches, 31. Christian McCaffrey, 6 for 30. Tyler Croft, 1 for 28. Ayuk, 2 for 19. And Ray, 1 for 16. Tackle, defense, Diamador Lenore had 10. He had 1 tackle for loss. Fredwarner had 8 tackles. Greenlaw had 8 tackles with 2 passes defended. Shavarius Ward, 6 tackles with 2 passes defended. Huffanega, 5 tackles. Gibson Jr., Jimmyward. Every week, I think that they're like right near each other in stats, and they all are playing so good. Nickbosa and Samson Ebukam and talanoahufanga all get a sack. No interceptions, but kick returning. Ray McLeod, 2 kick returns for 67 yards, averaging 33 yards per return, and 2 punt returns for 17 yards, only 8.5. Robbiegould did miss a field goal. Mitch Wishnowski, 6 punts for 253 with a 42.2 average, 1 touchback, 3 inside the 20, 50%. Got to give him his credit because he is a weapon, like I've always said. Geno Smith, who looked uncomfortable for a big chunk of the night, was 31 of 44 for 1 touchdown. Got to give Geno his due. Kenneth, the rookie Walker, 12 carries, 47 yards. When we hold teams under 100 yards, for the most part, we win. Tyler Lockett had 7 for 68. Metcalf, 7 for 55. Font, 5 for 32. Walker, 4 for 32. Travis Homer, who still is reminded of the dregreenlaw hit 3 years ago, 4 for 25. Will Dissly, 1 for 13. Ex-49er Marquise Goodwin, 2 for 10. And Penny Hart, 1 for 3. What you notice out of that is none of those receivers had a lot of yards after the catch. Once again, something we do great when we win. And Cody Barton's a hell of a linebacker. Jordan Brooks. That's a very good team over there. They're not on our level, but they're a solid team. Got to give them their credit. Breaking down some game stats quick. The Seahawks had us in first down, 16-15. Not much of a difference there. On third down efficiency, we were 6 of 13. They were 4 of 13. Total plays, let me just move this over so I could see a little better. Total plays were tied at 61. Total yards, our 381 to their 277. Total drives, our 12 to their 11. Yards per play, our 6.2 to their 4.5. That's another important stat to consider. And let's see, yards per pass, 7.8 yards per pass for the Niners, 4.4 for Seattle. Once again, hat off to the defense. That's a testament to them. Rushing yards, our 170 to their 70. So in all areas, we're whipping their ass. Penalties, 7 for us, 8 for them. 7 is way too much for us. Got to have it lower than that. Never turned the ball over. No fumbles, no interceptions thrown. And we held the ball for 33 minutes to their 26. So typical 49er stats when you win. You don't give up a lot of yak. You don't give up a lot of running yards. You monopolize the clock. I mean, I think that this is all some type of pragmatic stuff that most teams who are victorious do. Like in all sports, when you just break down the basics, you have a lot more success. And I think that's what this team is doing so much better, is not only are they doing the basic stuff, but they're doing it at a very high level. And they're also capitalizing on other teams' misfortunes, whether it's fumbles, interceptions, or the other team getting rid of the ball and returning it back to the 49er. Because I think that this defense has an engine that can stay on the field for a good amount of time. And they have the depth where players can fill in and out like we've seen this season, so give other guys a blow. Now, the good thing is we're supposed to get Javon Kinlaw back, and that will be helpful to help only make that defensive line a lot stronger. And hopefully he's come around from that terrible knee injury he had, which cost him all of last year and a lot of this year. But coming up is a very tough Washington Commanders team. This isn't a team that's going to lay down. We beat them, I think, 3 years ago, 3-0. Taylor Hackney is the quarterback. Again, their defense, they have Payne, they have Jonathan Allen in the middle. Not a bad team at all. 7-6-1, I think they are. They lost to the Giants last night, 20-12. So they're going to be looking for a victory because they want to get into the playoffs, and we need another victory to move up in the seed. So, listen, this was a great win. I really liked what I saw. You can check on my page for a lot of the highlights from that game. If you didn't get a chance to see that game live, I think that you were missing out, because every week it just seems to me that we give the opposing teams another example to let them know and put them on notice that we're the best team in football. And again, a lot of experts still aren't picking up on the fact of how good we're playing, how good our backups are playing, how good our offensive line is playing, and what great offensive strategy that Shanahan comes with. So I think that's always going to be the case, but whatever. I think for us to really have the shine that I'm talking about, and to get maybe more recognition, is to win it all. Obviously, that's the end all be all, and that's where this team should be, because it's a lot of the same team that was around 3 years ago. So we're in a good place. Situation's looking good all around. And this is another winnable game. I think we have to win out and hopefully finish 13-4 or 12-5. And, maybe I want to play the Cowboys big time. I want another game against them. I want to blow them off the face of the earth, like 44-7 or some shit like that. I just want to make a mockery of them because I think they're so soft. And I'd love to do it to the Vikings too, because we have them in our back pocket as well. And if we play the Giants, I think that'll be a cakewalk as well. I think we'll beat the Eagles too. They don't scare me, and I'm still waiting for them to drop some games in the last couple of weeks this year. But as good as their defense is playing, I don't think as a team they're anywhere as near as tight as we are, because this is a team that's been together for some time and been doing it for several years. So if you didn't see Thursday's game, definitely get a chance to check it out to see the best of Brock Purdy, or go look at some of the highlights. This kid is something special, man. He's really something special, and he's also getting the recognition from a lot of non-Niner fans who are seeing how talented he is, which makes me wonder what's going to happen next year, which makes me wonder what are you going to do with Trey Lance. But, now I know hindsight's 2020. Imagine had we never had to give up what we did for Trey Lance, we'd be looking at another first-round draft pick in the last 2 years, which would have only been more beneficial for us. But what can you do? So all around great victory, great to win in Seattle, great to shut those fans up, and great to win the series for the season. We're up 2-0. We were up 2-0 on the Rams, and we're going to get another one against the Cardinals and sweep the entire NFC West, that which we clinched on Thursday night. Well deserved. So, guys, man, we're in a great place right now, and we're riding this. This team's going to ride this train. I don't think anyone can stop them. Look at the stats where they stand on defense. Look how good their offense is playing. Again, we're playing at an elite level, and I don't think a lot of teams are even close to that. So the league is on notice; they don't want no part of the red and gold. But I'll be coming at you again with some more content this week. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Always feel free to hit me up with some questions, comments, or whatever. I really appreciate you guys being here with me live and being a fan of the page. Niner Nut is out. Peace.